Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on CSR, and today we are going to talk about the very pertinent and important issue of CSR, that is SRI, which we call as socially responsible investment, and this is going to be part 2 of our lectures on SRI. And in today's lecture I'll be telling you about what exactly we mean by socially responsible investment, about which we have already gone through the introductory aspect of this very aspect of CSR, and then we'll talk about the ESG investing principles and the UN principles for responsible investment. Then what is IRIS toolkit, the investment universe, that is there is a continuum from traditional to impact, that also we'll discuss, and eventually we'll take up some examples or what we call as interesting examples of socially responsible investment. So with this as my agenda, let me give you a recap of what exactly we mean by socially responsible investment. When we talk about socially responsible investment or SRI, it has become the accepted overarching term. It is widely accepted by society at large and even the governments at large, and it encompasses older concepts such as ethical investments and green investment, which was actually associated with religion and moral considerations. So broadly speaking, if you ask me how to define SRI in a single line, I would say it is basically investing that is mindful of the impact those investments have on society. So when I am mindful of the impact of my investment, which it is going to have on society, I would say that my investment is socially responsible. So socially responsible investments, they are basically known with different nomenclatures, with different names. Some people call it green investment, some people call it ethical investment, some people call it environmental ESG investment, or some people call it basically the triple bottom line investment. So triple bottom line, when we say TBLI, that is basically indicating towards the mindfulness of the impact your investment is going to have on society. It means you are talking about SRI. So first of all, we should know that from where this idea came, about which we have already discussed from the relevant literature, that this ESG criteria was basically developed through international bodies such as United Nations Global Compact, UNGC, which we call, the International Labour Organization, ILO, and eventually when we take up the name of UNICEF, United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, and United Nations Human Rights Council, that is UNHRC. Probably the most widely known and used are the UN's Principle for Responsible Investment, which is known as PRI, Principles for Responsible Investments, and it is an investor initiative which covers ESG issues. So my dear learners, when we talk about the ESG issues, which is a very kind of acronym, when we talk about CSR at large and even at the global level, we take ESG as an acronym, which basically tells about the focus which we are supposed to have on environmental, social and the governance issues. So the UN Principles for Responsible Investment, it basically gives us some guidelines how to make our investment socially responsible. And I'll be telling you about those principles for responsible investment, which have actually been developed by the United Nations, and we call it United Nations PRI. We call it Principles for Responsible Investment. So let us first discuss about those PRIs. The first one says that we will incorporate ESG issues into investment analysis and decision making process. So there are two things here. We are finding the twinning of two important terms. One is incorporating ESG issues into investment analysis, that while conducting my investment analysis I would incorporate ESG issues. And as we all know that when we are doing some analysis of a project, or we are doing some expenditure analysis or investment analysis, our focus is basically on ROI, that is return on investment, because as a person of accounting and finance, we believe into the quantified logical answer to a question, whether it is financially viable or not. If a project is giving me sufficient amount of ROI, sufficient rate of ROI, I won't mind accepting it and rejecting the other things which are there. And as we all know that while taking a decision related to the matters of investment or finances, we don't consider the qualitative issues, the subjective issues. So there is no place for subjectivity. But when we talk about UNPRIs, that is Principles for Responsible Investment, we basically include or incorporate ESG issues into at least at the point number 1, we include it into investment analysis. And the second one is in decision making process. So while making a decision about a specific project, I would incorporate ESG issues into my decisions and analysis both. So suppose why these two terms are very important, because some people, they feel that while doing the investment analysis, I have incorporated ESG issues, but when it went to decision making process, there we did not include it. There we considered only quantitative aspect, not the qualitative one. So my dear learners, we have to understand that UNPRIs basically specifically they mention that you have to incorporate ESG issues at 2 levels, one at the level of analysis and second at the level of decision making process. So at both the levels, ESG issues are supposed to be incorporated. So this is the first very principle if we talk about UNPRIs, that is United Nations Principle for Responsible Investment. Second one is we will be active owners and incorporate ESG issues into our ownership policies and practices. The second point is your ownership policies and practices. What is your ownership policy? Whether you own your society or not, whether you are owning only or whether you are having the ownership or your ownership is limited to only your business, or it is beyond that business also, whether you take care of societies also or not, whether you own that society or not in which you are living, whether I own my country or not. As a person, as a responsible citizen of a country, I should own my country, that this is my country and I would take care of my nation. So of course when I have this kind of policy or this kind of feeling in my mind, then I would definitely incorporate ESG issues into my ownership policies and also the practices, because policies means you have drafted something, you have written something, but whether you practice it or not, that is equally important. And this is the reason why this UNPRI have incorporated not only policies but also practices. So the second PRI is that you have to decide, you have to incorporate ESG issues not only into your ownership policies but also into the practices. The third one is we will seek appropriate disclosure on ESG issues by the entities in which we are investing. Because when I incorporate ownership, I incorporate ESG issues into ownership policies and practices, it means I am taking responsibility from my side in my business. But what about the places, what about the companies where I am going to invest my capital? What about those areas, those ventures where I am investing my capital? Because unless they are having the same sense, of responsibility, my purpose is not going to be served, or I would say that my purpose is going to get defeated. So we have to seek appropriate disclosures on ESG issues by the entities where I am investing. So they should disclose, they should appropriately disclose that they have also incorporated ESG issues into their investment policies. So wherever I am investing, whether that company is incorporating ESG issues or not, this is the third PRI. The next one is we will promote acceptance and implementation of the principles within the investment industry. So after taking responsibility on my own and on the part of the company where I am investing, I have to become a torch bearer. So we need to promote acceptance and implementation of the principles within the investment industry. The industry in which we are investing, that should also have that acceptance to the idea, to the philosophy with which we are investing. We are willing to make our investment socially responsible. We wish that my investment should be socially responsible. But what about the industry? What is their say into that? Whether they accept it or not? Because unless we find acceptability in the industry where we are investing, there is no point simply making our policy taking ownership and saying that I have contributed in my own way and I cannot take responsibility of others. That is not going to serve the purpose. So we'll have to not only accept, adopt, but also promote. So the third point is, the next point is this fourth, which we call as the point number 4. It is to promote acceptance and implementation of the principles within the investment industries. The next one is, we'll have to work together to enhance our effectiveness in implementing the principles. So after promoting the acceptance, you have to work together. You have to join your hands with the other companies, also with the other entities, also to enhance your effectiveness when you are implementing SRI, that is socially responsible investment. And the next one is, we will each report on our activities and progress towards implementing the principles. So not only that we are accepting, adopting, promoting, working together, but also we have to implement, we have to report on the activities and progress towards implementing the principles. That to what extent we could not implement the principles which we decided. So when we are talking about UNPRIs, they are very meticulous, they are very comprehensive, they include everything, that you have to first adopt, then you have to accept. After that, you have to ensure that even the industries where you are investing, they also accept it, and then you have to promote, and after that you have to work together to enhance the effectiveness, and eventually you have to report. Because reporting is something which gives you the real report card of your activities, your work. To what extent you could not achieve the goals, you could not implement the principles, and where is the gap. So bridging that gap is equally important, because each report is going to positively decide the direction of your effectiveness, that how efficiently and effectively you are implementing the principles which we have decided, which we have adopted, or to which we have we are signatory, we have signed that we will definitely implement it. So if we follow these 6 PRIs, I personally believe that they are really acting like a golden principle of implementing the responsible investment, or paving the way of investment to become responsible. So if you really wish to, as a company, if you really wish that your investment should be socially responsible, I feel that if you adopt these principles, there is nothing which can stop you from achieving your goal. So these UNPRIs, they were actually launched in the year 2012. They are not the new one. In the year 2012, it's been now 11 years. And this new reporting framework was launched to provide a set of standardized indicators, relevant and to the point for all investors. So they are not only relevant, but they are to the point. They are pointed, that I have done my job. What about my counterpart? What about my supply chain? What about the place where I invest? And suppose I have done, they have done, how to promote it, whether I have promoted it or not. And eventually we have to work together and then report what exactly is the progress of my journey, in which I am really willing that my investment should be socially responsible. So in order to make your investment socially responsible, we have to follow these relevant and to the point standardized indicators which are provided by the United Nations as the PRI, that is basically a guideline for us, where we can have the benefit of this reporting framework. And there are separate pathways for direct and indirect investors, and specific asset class supplements are also there. So with this, my dear learners, we got a very fair idea or complete idea of what exactly is the UNPRI, what they wanted to say. And to conclude, I would say that they are relevant and to the point for all investors, no matter to which industry you are from, no matter in which geographical location you are working. If you really follow these golden PRIs in letter and spirit, there is nothing which can stop you from making your investments socially responsible. Now there is a very popular term called IRIS toolkit. IRIS is basically EIRIS. Basically, it is a leading SRI advisory company. They are the leading SRI advisors, and they have developed a PRI toolkit, which is aimed at investors looking to implement the PRI, in particular principle number 1, 2, and 3. So they have developed a toolkit to implement that PRI, which was developed by the United Nations, and they have focused. They are completely focused towards principle number 1, 2, and 3. We have discussed about the 6 principles, and for point number 1, 2, and 3, they have developed a toolkits. So let us have a look at those toolkits, what exactly they want to decide what exactly they want to say there into those toolkits. So the IRIS tool assigns companies an ESG risk management grade. The way they are working, I am going to tell you that it is the modus operandi of this toolkit, and it actually assigns the companies an ESG risk management grade, which can be integrated into investment analysis and decision making process. This is for point number 1. This is for the PRI number 1, that you have to make your investment analysis and decision making processes inclusive of this ESG. So you are incorporating ESG into your investment analysis and decision making process. And for that, what they are doing, how it works, they basically, this toolkit is going to assign companies an ESG risk management grade, and it can be integrated into both the levels, that is decision making as well as analysis. And this is going to help investments meet their commitments under principle 1 of the PRI, which I discussed just before this toolkit. We had a discussion on that, what exactly the 6 principles speak about making your investment socially responsible. So the Global Compact Engager, this is going to be the second one. The Global Compact Engager, it assists investors who have adopted an engagement strategy and meet their commitments under principle number 2 of the PRI. So this is focusing on principle number 2. And this report monitor is basically focusing exclusively on companies reporting practices to assist signatories in identifying leaders and laggards in ESG disclosure and meet commitments. So those who are basically including those who are reporting exclusively for their ESG disclosures and commitments, to what extent they are able to meet, and if they are laggards, for them also there is a point. So this report monitor is focusing exclusively on companies reporting practices. So how you report, that is equally important, that once you start drafting what you are doing, you really come to know that where you are lacking or lagging. So it is assisting the signatories in identifying leaders and laggards. So those who are leading companies in terms of their ESG disclosure and meeting the commitments, of course their score is going to be on the higher side, whereas the laggards are going to have their scores on a lower side. So leaders and laggards both come to the light once you actually monitor the report, monitor in terms of reporting. That is going to give you an idea. So this is equally important for implementing this point number 2 of PRI. So iRisk is basically designed to help investors in incorporating ESG issues into investment analysis and decision making process. And this tool actually claims that, what is their claim as an entity, they are claiming to assess companies' risk exposures to ESG factors as well as their management response. So they are claiming that if you follow our toolkit, it will help you. It will help you in assessing your risk exposure to ESG factors as well as your the response of management, the way management is going to respond. So, and how it works, they basically categorize them into different levels of risk. So there are different levels of risk in which the company is going to be categorized, and while doing so they incorporate a broad range of ESG issues, taking into account each and every company's impact and risk exposure along with their performance. So when you categorize these companies into different levels of risk, you are basically able to understand that if you incorporate a broad range of ESG issues, what is going to be the position of your company in terms of the exposure towards risk as well as your performance. So if you are getting your company, if you are incorporating those ESG issues into your decision making process, or you go for adopting it, then what will happen to your risk position as well as your performance? So if the performance is outweighing the risk component, then of course there is a positive side of implementing or adopting this ESG, or making your or taking up this journey of making your investment socially responsible. The tool number 2 which is for principle number 2, that is Global Compact Engager. It is aiming to help investors in identifying companies with different levels of risk, which we have just discussed, with different levels of risk with regards to principles of the UN Global Compact, which we call as UNGC. And this tool, the interesting part of this tool is that it is producing the ratings and scores, which is helping investors, not only to the company but to the investors. With the help of your ratings and scores, it is just like you go through the rating of a service provider, that whether it is whether the rating is 5 star or 4.5 or 3.5 or so, and then we take a decision that yes, most of the investors, most of the consumers must have got a positive satisfaction. They must have been satisfied with this with the performance of this service provider. That is why their rating is 5 or 4.5 or 4.9. So likewise, this tool is going to, this IRIS toolkit is going to produce ratings and scores, which is helping investors in setting their priorities and goals for their engagement strategy, as well as the detailed reports which is useful in their meetings. So they can decide with the help of this rating and ranking of those investors, those companies, that whether I should invest into this company or not, if my priority is to meet the target of PRI number 2. So this, and if we look at the criteria which they include, it include ESG indicators for the assessment of a company's policy, management systems and reporting practices. So they are taking 3 things. Number 1, what is the policy of the company? Number 2, what is the management system? Third one is what is the reporting practices? And these on reporting practices on those issues which can mirror the UNGC principles, as well as IRIS convention, watch research, and there are some other components also, which is helping us in identifying and providing a detailed assessment of alleged breaches of international norms and conventions, that this company has breached the international norms and conventions these many times, or there is no breach of international norms and convention by the company. So that is going to be of immense help for an investor who is looking for a company for an investment option which incorporates ESG into their decision making process, into their policy, company's policy and management systems. The next is Report Monitor. Report Monitor is basically intended to assist investors in identifying leaders and laggards in ESG reporting, and you can find that these are the leaders and these are the laggards. And I told you that what are the criteria which on the basis of which they are developing these scores and grades. So my dear learners, what is the outcome of this point of this discussion, that when we talked about the UN PRIs and IRIS toolkit, if we club them together, the UN principles for responsible investment, they are basically guiding us that if you follow these principles, you can make your investment socially responsible. And how to do it, this toolkit is going to help to be of immense help in doing so. So what to do is decided by the UN PRI, and how to do is being guided by the IRIS toolkit. Another important aspect or another important toolkit which comes to us is GRI. So it is basically a leading initiative by the Amsterdam-based Global Reporting Initiative, and we call it GRI. We have already discussed about the GRI, and the adherence to it is requiring companies to report key indicators of their performance on ESG issues. So if we look at the different indicators or at the different parameters of GRI, we find that what is your indicator, what is your performance as a company in terms of those indicators, basically they are a reflection of your performance on ESG issues. So these toolkits like GRI and IRIS, they are basically of immense help for the companies who are really willing to make their investments socially responsible. So what and how, we have already discussed what and how of SRI, that is socially responsible investment, what to do and how to do. Why to do, we have already discussed that what is the benefit of doing so, and that we'll discuss at a later stage also, when I'll be telling you about the critiques of what critiques have to speak about the socially responsible investment, about this aspect of investment. Now moving on to a continuum of investment, the investment universe. If we look at if we consider the entire investment as a universe, and if we look at this entire discourse on a continuum from traditional to impact, we can find that on the left side what you find, and on the right extreme what you have. So first of all, the investment from an SRI standpoint can be understood as a range. There is a range starting from 0 to 10. Suppose if you assign 0 to be highly irresponsible towards social issues and 10 to be the socially responsible investment, then the investment from an SRI standpoint can be understood as a range from 0 to 10. For instance, so at one extreme you find those investments which are outside the SRI universe altogether, and they are basically carried out purely for financial goals, and their objective is only to make money. Their ultimate goal is to make profit. So they don't bother about what is happening to society, what are we doing, where are we heading for. They are simple, and the purest goal is to go for making money or making profits. So their goal is completely financial. Whereas next along at a moderate level you find responsible investments which consider ESG criteria and they are going to screen their investments. And sustainable investments, perhaps the most difficult to pin down, because if we look at the integrating ESG criteria into investment decisions, although the term often refers to the green investments nowadays, people call it as green investment. So sustainable investments is basically the most difficult to pin down, and that is why we say that integrating those ESG criteria into your decision making process is basically like greening your investment. But still a more intensive focus on the social aspect of investment leads to the impact investments, either financial first or social first. You can have a trade-off between the two. Impact investment, that either financial first or social first, or finally at the other end of the scale there is a philanthropy, that you are basically talking about a company which is acting as a philanthropist, where there is no consideration of financial returns and usually no opportunity either. Because when my motive is completely a philanthropy or social welfare, then there is nothing which can motivate me, or there is nothing which can deviate me. So there is a complete trade-off between the social and financial returns. So if you consider the entire investment universe on a continuum, at a scale of 0 you find that the companies which are purely working on a profit with a profit motive, and on the right hand side you find a company which is working completely for the philanthropy. But in between we can find a trade-off. So with this, my dear learners, I tried to explain to you what exactly we mean by SRI, what to do if I am really willing my investment to be socially responsible, and how to do. I hope you must have enjoyed today's lecture of mine. Thank you so much.